up, everybody? It's Aaron with Robert, and this is Get Your Geek On, and this is our review of a movie that I think Robert was happy to see.
Yes!
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We got to go on opening night. We saw it in IMAX.
Just a couple hours ago.
Yeah, so we're here fresh off the boat, seeing this episode, or this movie.
Did you seriously
in
say
the
fresh
MCU.
off the boat? Hold on.
I did. Yeah, because
That's
I had to
show.
I know it was it's I think maybe some of the actors in that show.
I think so. I think it's the girl, the sister. I think
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it was
okay.
it was a clever homage.
Sullivan's son, that's where she was from too. Anyway, there's so many actors in this that I've seen on so many other things.
Tony Leung plays the villain as Wenwu. Of course, we have Simu Liu in the title role as Shang-Chi. Awkwafina is in this. Michelle Yeoh, I believe, is the name of the woman that ends up playing the aunt of Shang-Chi and Xiaoling. I don't actually have the names of really any of the other major actors, except for one surprise, which we will save for spoilers.
Okay.
Because we're not in spoiler territory yet. This is our non-spoiler review of Shang-Chi. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, we're going to just give you some non-spoiler talk first. But once we say spoilers, we are going to spoil.
Sign. I'll give you like 2 seconds after that.
Yeah. So yeah, we just watched it. I mean, how do you feel, man?
I truly enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first movie really that I got to see in theaters for the Marvel one since I missed Black Widow.
Right.
The last movie I saw was Free Guy. And I saw that one not in IMAX. We saw this in IMAX.
Yeah.
And I love films in IMAX. I just don't like that I have my recliner because I just want to be like at some points, you know.
Why do you want to sleep? It's a Marvel movie.
Before the credits start.
Oh, okay.
Before everything starts.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed this. I thought the humor was spot on. I thought the action was spot on.
Mm-hmm.
I actually will say how they did the origin story for me. Let the action keep flowing throughout the whole film, I felt like. It's not like we spent 30 minutes telling an origin story or first full act. No, it's like a little bit of this. Okay, here's action. A little bit of what's going on now. Here's the past. I really enjoyed that. What about you, though?
Yeah, that's a good point. I thought it was very well paced in terms of what we were seeing and various characters kind of reflecting on the past. It wasn't just one particular character. It was several. I really liked the way they built kind of the family dynamics.
Right.
With Shang-Chi, his sister, his dad, and his mom, and then you get his aunt in later.
Yeah.
All of the characters were likable. We had a compelling villain, which you can't always say about the MCU. Like, he's kind of a tragic figure. That doesn't mean he's not making bad choices or he's not we also know he is a bad guy. But for a portion of the movie at least, some of the choices he's making are at least understandable. Mm-hmm. Again, you can empathize with him, which I don't know if I expected that going in. I think Tony Leung is a fantastic actor, and he really nailed it. I liked the dynamic. The action was great, as you mentioned. There were definitely some really great moments of humor. I can't wait to watch it again.
Same.
Because I feel like I'm going to pick up on more, and I'm going to really be able to firm up my opinion even more so about where it fits into kind of like my overall enjoyment of the MCU. Like, is it, top 10, top 5, like all those things? It's definitely in the top half of MCU films. It was a lot of fun, really good action. And again, just really cool characters that I can't wait to see more of.
Oh, I can't either. I do like you said, I kind of like how you said that. We don't know if it's in our top. You don't know if it's in your top half yet. You don't know where it falls at 100%.
Yeah.
I will say this though, I'm kind of in that same boat, but I think it's one of my top origin story movies so far. If I'm just gonna go with all the origin films, it's gonna go straight to the top almost. Now I still think there's about one or two, and like you said, watch this a few more times. That might top it, but not. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
It's going to be close with me, actually. Go check out our YouTube channel because we did a video about MCU origin movies where I said the best origin movie was Captain America: The First Avenger.
Will this tie it if you watch it a few more times?
Will it top it? I don't know.
Because you've watched Captain America quite a few times.
I've seen it a bunch of times.
So it's like, when this catches up there, who will have that better one, or who's going to be right there? Is it a tie, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think part of the reason why I love that one so much is just because you really get a sense of the man inside. You know,
exactly.
Like they even hammer that home, like it's like be a good man kind of thing.
Yeah.
This one I didn't feel like necessarily quite as strongly hit on who Shang-Chi is as a person, but we do get some of that, and I agree with you in terms of enjoyment. This was a super fun origin movie, I will agree with you there.
I really enjoyed this one. I think all the other, now I will say this: the little henchmen kind of people, they were kind of a little like, eh.
Yeah, I mean we've seen Razor Fist in in the trailers.
Taser Face.
Yeah, he probably is. This is Marvel Comics' fault. This is not the MCU's fault. These characters exist in Marvel Comics. Names. But yeah, I think that he was really the only one that had a lot of personality. I really, there's a character that we kind of see in some of the trailers fighting like Shang-Chi or training Shang-Chi, who's wearing like that mask.
I forgot that one's name already.
Well, I don't think he ever gets a name, or
I think they do.
I
don't think they say it in the film.
It's not said in the film. And really, we never hear that character speak. No. We never hear anything. So yeah, I'm with you. They sacrifice some of that for focusing on our main characters, which
it's fine because the main battle scene, they kind of needed somebody more than a regular henchman to kind of distract the other heroes that could possibly go help him fight his dad.
Right.
So I totally get why you got to bring out Razorface and the other
Razor Fist.
I said Razorface.
Razorface that'd be interesting.
Weird headbutt. But yeah, Razor Fist, and I'll just say the ninja. We get those because they have to kind of distract the sister and the aunt while he goes and fights his dad.
Yeah.
So I get the whole part of why they are there, but yeah, they felt like they were sacrificed for that. Yeah. But overall, again, I really liked it. I really do like the Kathy, the best friend, Katie. Sorry, Katie. Liked her. The sister did a good job.
I was surprised because I think even going into the movie, I had said, I'm not the biggest fan of Awkwafina's comedy, and sometimes I feel like she's really over the top. I thought she was very restrained in this movie, very funny. Had good chemistry with Simu Liu and the other characters. So yeah, I agree. I liked all the performances really. Same. I thought it was a really strong cast, and almost entirely Asian, similar to Black Panther being almost entirely black actors. This is almost an entirely Asian cast. I mean, we do get a few different characters. Razor Fist is clearly not Asian. There's a couple other characters that aren't, but most of them are.
Now, I do want to kind of comment. We got Katie on here, who knows Shang-Chi for the last 10 years, she says.
As Sean.
Which there's a perfect name for.
Yeah, there's a funny joke in there about how close that is to Shang.
Yeah.
Is Sean.
Well, it's perfect. I do like this. And this is something I'm almost a little proud of that Marvel did. She wasn't just there as a love interest. They actually never get together throughout this whole film.
Yeah, I mean, you can sense that maybe there's something down the road, possibly.
Right, and that's fine. Yeah. But I like that it wasn't, here's a love interest, and we just throw it in there. Because I feel like sometimes, kind of like Christine and Doctor Strange, it was just a love interest to be there.
Yep.
And I mentioned that because we just did a review of What If. Go check that out.
Episode 4, yeah.
But I like that she wasn't, yes, there's times that maybe they could get together, but I also didn't feel it 100%. Yeah. I have a best friend that I could go do stuff like that. Like, we could hang out, we could flirt, we could be whatever, but at the end of the day, we go home, she talks to her people, I talk to my people kind of thing, and that's what we do, but we've known each other 20 years now, and I like that. It just shows like, hey, they're just friends. They're very, very close friends. Like you said, maybe next film they become a love interest, but for this film, I was happy she was not involved in that. I actually like that she got an actual major part in the battle, actually. I don't want to ruin that part, but yeah. I enjoyed that. I'm like, thank you, Marvel. That was a nice call that you can just be friends.
It was a little bit convenient what she did in the battle.
I'll give you that.
It was a little bit like, are you sure? But
Plot has to move forward.
I was okay with it because, again, the characters and they, did a little bit of setup for it, that she would be able to do that, but a really small amount. But anyways, again, fun movie, lots of good action. Definitely, if you feel comfortable and you have the opportunity, go see it in theaters. It was very, the visuals were really cool.
They really were.
The fight scenes are not like anything we've seen in the MCU before. I mean, there's several martial arts fight scenes, which was really cool to watch on the big screen.
It really did remind me of stuff like The Raid Redemption, some of the old Jet Li films, even Jackie Chan films, all of that stuff. If you like old school, those kind of karate films, I say the fight scenes will sell for you perfectly, especially some of the Jet Li stuff. Raid Redemption's a good film. I think that one's... It's not Korean. I can't remember where it's Indonesian. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those films were great with the action, and this is up there.
Yep.
So I think that'll cover the non-spoiler part.
Yeah. So before we move into spoilers, rating. What you got? Ooh. It's hard to do it right off the bat, but we got to give the people a rating.
I think 7.5 out of 10. I think that 7.5. I'm gonna go with a solid 7.5.
Well, I'm gonna say 7.8. Ooh. Okay. I'm shooting above you.
I think it's the rewatch will make me like it more.
Yeah.
I think we'll see more. The only drawbacks I have is sometimes Katie's humor wasn't on point for me.
Okay.
Sometimes some of the plots was just convenient plot points. Again, we need to move the story along. So it's I get it. I let some of that stuff slide. Could it have been written better? Like you said, the main action scene with her at the end of the fight. It's
we'll get there.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
But
go check it out. Definitely, for sure.
And then right here,
spoilers.
So there's going to be a sign right here like I always put. Or not always. Sometimes I forget. But spoilers. So, do you want to go from the end forward, or where do you want to go?
However you want to do it.
I want to... Okay, so one discussion thing that we have, guys. Yep. The timeline for this, first of all.
Yeah. So, I am...
So I guess we'll go with the end credit, I guess, is the best.
Yeah, I'm confident. I'm confident now.
Okay.
As we've done the math... The movie, we see a point in time that's in 1996, where Wenwu meets the mother of Shang Chi, and their relationship seems to progress pretty quickly.
Right.
Let's put it that way. So that's 1996. We know that Shang Chi is 24 as of the time of this movie,
which is 2021.
Right. Well, 96 to 24 would be 2020. Give it a year or so in terms of,
pregnancies,
all that good stuff.
So it's 9 months. See, that's
so let's call it 2021, maybe 2022 at the latest. Mm-hmm. The snap, bringing everyone back, is canonically in 2023.
Mm-hmm. So about another year or two later.
So the events of this movie, I'm confident, are taking place during the blip years. No. Although they really, really only give lip service to that. They do not, this is not the world that, maybe it's a few years into, and so maybe the world has adjusted. This is the world that, spoilers for Captain America, or for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this is the world that the Flag Smashers want to bring back.
Right.
It's stabilized. We have less people. Everyone's, nobody's fighting over resources. They're fighting, but they're fighting for fun.
Sure. Fun.
In the underground tournament fight place.
With Abomination. Right. Which he still looked like Fing Fang Foom a little bit. So I do want to say why we're saying this, because I didn't think about the whole film until the end credit. I mean, I kind of thought about it once in a while, but the end credit, we see...
Wong shows
up at a bar that they're at, talking to their friends, and he's like, do you have the 10 rings? And okay, come with me. And looks at Cat.
It cuts to credits, and then the mid-credit scene is then he's kind of examining the rings and trying to figure out what this artifact is, where did it come from. They say it's sending a message. They don't know who it's sending out to.
Who is they?
And there's two other people there in kind of those hologram things that we saw in Endgame, talking on the phone, and it's
Mark Ruffalo,
Bruce Banner. Not the Hulk. It's Bruce Banner.
But I want to comment.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Before we get there.
Okay.
Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Both of them are discussing with him about the rings.
And there's two things to notate here, because
and this is where I don't know
these are
if I
two
believe
characters that had big changes in between their appearances in Infinity War and Endgame, because Mark Ruffalo, of course, merged the brawn with the brain and became Smart Hulk by the time Endgame's timeline happens, and Captain Marvel got a weird haircut. And
I can't go with anything except weird.
And their appearances in this movie, Captain Marvel still has hair that's at least more similar to her original hair that was in her movie and in Infinity War. And Mark Ruffalo is not Smart Hulk. He is Bruce Banner, but yes, say it.
But he is wearing a sling on his right arm, which was the arm that was severely damaged at the end of Endgame. And we do see the Hulk wearing that same sling or apparatus, whatever you want to call it,
at Tony's funeral.
Yeah, at Tony's funeral. And even when Captain America leaves, he's still in that sling.
Right.
So, is it...
But he also... In Infinity War, that's the same arm that Cole Obsidian ripped off of the Hulkbuster, and like it was ripped at the shoulder. So you could definitely say that like his arm got wrenched or something. They never showed that. They never showed him with an injury prior to the Hulk injury. So I get you.
Right, and I know where you're coming from.
But I'm still confident this is within the blip.
And I really want to believe that part. Because the fact is, I don't think Marvel would have screwed up so bad on their appearances to be like after Endgame. Like, oh yeah, this is after Endgame, but her hair is this way. And oh yeah, we forgot he was Smart Hulk and he's just Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner again. I really don't feel that they would have gone that route. I really want to agree with you that this is sometime in between. But they never tell us. Like you say, we see things on the walls that say, do you need the support groups? Kind of like what Cap was doing.
It's really... Like they're not letting us. This movie doesn't take a breath to let us live in the world that we're in.
It doesn't.
Like this is focused entirely on Shang Chi and his family drama.
Yeah,
which
is fine.
I'm okay with.
That's what this movie was.
Yeah,
100% respect.
All right, so we've talked about the timeline now. What else in spoilers do you want to get into?
So, I mean, come on, we gotta talk about that amazing actor. That showed up. I did not know he was in this.
I kind of knew it. Okay. I wasn't officially spoiled, but there were people that kept being like, "There's a tie-in to Iron Man 3. There's a tie-in to Iron Man 3." And then earlier this week on Disney Plus,
I saw that. I should have known.
Marvel dropped the one-shot "All Hail the King" with Trevor Slattery, Sir Ben Kingsley returning to the role. Actually had a fairly substantial part, which I was totally not expecting. Like, I thought we were going to get, like, the one scene of him, and then he was going to be done. But no, he joins the group about halfway through the movie, and he's just peppered in. Like, he's not, like, a main part of the group, but he's there until the end. Like, we keep getting little just like, oh, here's 10 seconds of Ben Kingsley acting weird.
And then
it was fun.
What's the creature's name? Morris?
He kept calling him Morris. I'm sure that's not his real name.
No, his name is now Morris.
Okay.
That's the cutest creature in the world. And I love how...
Where's his face? He's sensitive about that.
Don't talk to him about that. Remember how sensitive he is about his face.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it too because every chance he could get to be ham over the top, it was perfect.
I mean, the entire discussion about Planet of the Apes was hilarious.
I was trying not to laugh too hard.
It was so funny.
I was like, what is he?
That was a great joke. Of course, the moment you see him on the battlefield and he's like, just laying prone. And,
I thought he died.
Morris,
I was upset.
And Morris is coming up to him and he's like, no, it's a performance. So
performance.
Play dead.
And then flips over dead. He's just like, good. But he gave him like that. Yeah. That's a good job look. Like, he's selling it and he dies again. I was honestly upset because I was like, did they just kill Trevor off screen like that?
No, they did not. And he just
gets up. I'm okay, don't worry.
I knew he was faking it. As soon as they showed it, I was like, oh, he's definitely faking it.
I was worried.
But yeah, I enjoyed him coming back because as much as that twist in Iron Man 3 is annoying, because especially because thinking of the marketing leading up to that film, man, they sold this villain.
They hid what was going on.
They sold him as like this great villain for Iron Man who was menacing and evil and all this stuff, and then they totally flipped it on its head, and it kind of works for the movie, but it also just was totally not what we were promised / expecting, and totally different from the comics.
Right.
And so that was one of those things that, the fact that Marvel is saying, we're going to revisit it, and we're going to revisit it hard, and we're going to bring this character back for, it's like an extended cameo.
Really was. It really was.
And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
I think I agree with you on that one. And I think that was my favorite surprise in this film was probably that. I mean, we do see a good few seconds of Abomination. We're all assuming that. Again,
it was definitely Abomination.
Yeah, I don't like the look of him.
The way he looked was definitely different than the Incredible Hulk look. But I also will say, I mean, like you could tell he's walking through a portal at one time with his giant diaper on. Is definitely Abomination. Yeah. Like that's literally what he looks like.
Again, though, some of the features did look like Fin Fang Foom, which I was kind of like, that wouldn't make sense to be there though, because again, that's in the same country that he would be hanging out in.
It's Abomination.
I agree. I'm going to go with that. It is Abomination.
I love the way Wong fought him.
Yes. That was perfect. That hurt. You want to know how it feels? Bam, makes him punch himself.
Yeah, he uses a portal to make his arm disappear and then reappear right here, which is kind of, I feel like that's a little bit of a Reed Richards thing to do too. When he's got his little like pad and he's like creating portals and stuff, and he's like using his arm and then it'll come through this one and come through that one.
I thought it was a nice homage to, was it Infinity War, where he puts his arm through the portal and gets cut off? Yeah, and I was like, because I thought he was gonna cut his arm off too. I was like, oh no, he didn't cut his arm off. He just knocked him out.
No, he's just
But again, he does have a very look of Fin Fang Foom to me, just like a newer version because he has the more gills like out.
You can be wrong. He's Abomination.
I will laugh if it comes out that he's Fin Fang Foom.
You can be wrong. He's Abomination.
You know what? I'm gonna look at the credits and see if it says.
That's fine.
But I don't like that Tim Roth did not speak.
Just wait for She-Hulk. They have already said Tim Roth is returning for She-Hulk.
What if he does look different though? What if he looks like? Well, can he look like the Universal Studios one? Right? Or is it Universal, or who made that film?
It was Marvel Studios and Universal. Okay. They made it together.
But I wonder if they could use that look, or if they have to stay away.
I don't know.
So again, we get this whole fight scene out there. I did like that fight scene outside the building.
Yeah, on the scaffolding.
That was a cool. That was a really cool one. Yep. But again, what about you though? Like, I know we're picking and choosing throughout this. I gotta say,
my favorite fight scene, I think, was the first fight scene between Wenwu and the woman that would become his wife, where they're like fighting in like the garden area. That was so freaking cool.
That reminded me of what was that movie back in the day? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't like that one?
I don't like that movie.
I thought the fight scene kind of reminded me of that.
Well, it was almost reminiscent. I mean, it's not, but it was almost reminiscent of like capoeira, which is like that Brazilian dance fighting type thing. Like it was like the fluidity of movement. You could just really see that it was as much a dance as it was a fight, and it started off with them kind of like maybe trying to hurt each other, but by the end of it, you could tell like.
They're playing.
They're like just into each other now.
Yeah. I thought that was a cute thing too. I really liked it. I did that honestly from that point forward. I felt for the dad. Well, because that was a good way to sell it too.
And I love that we don't get the reveal until much later in the movie. But he's been this kind of villain amassing power with the Ten Rings for centuries. Yeah, for thousands of years. And he is searching for this particular hidden village. She's kind of the guardian of the path, I guess. And so they interact, and then, they fall in love, and the village won't let him in, basically because of the man he is, and with the 10 rings and all that stuff. It's like, no, you're an evil dude.
You did a lot of messed up stuff.
You can't come to our paradise because you evil.
Yeah.
Right? And so she chooses to leave her home, leave her powers, that she's able to draw from there, and live in the world with him. So she gives up everything. And the reveal that we find is that he gave up the rings too. Yeah. He was going to live a mortal life with her.
Grow old and die.
Like she tells him, you can be a different man. You can leave your past in the past.
Right.
You can, take that next step forward. And he does. Yeah. And so then we find out they kept, like, one of the major plot points is that, like mom's gone, mom's gone, mom's gone. You know, and he thinks that there's a possibility she's still alive in her village. And, you know, we find out later, we see that it was his past that caught up with him. And that, you know, like she was basically murdered
by like 50 people that came in to kill him.
And she held her own.
She took out a lot.
Because there were a bunch of guys on the ground next to her.
She killed a bunch.
But, you know, like basically that drove him back to the power of the 10 rings.
Oh my
where
God.
he then just destroyed this group of people in front of his 7-year-old son.
Yeah.
You know?
That scene alone, I will say, felt very much like a Punisher scene.
Yeah.
Like, who they at? Or where are they at? That table? All right, stay right here. And then just murders everybody at that table.
Yeah.
And then the guy right in front of him.
Yeah, and even like the where's your boss? I don't know. Okay. Kill him.
Like, you're useless to me now.
It's like it's one of those things like I believe you, and
you're useless.
You know, it's not gonna, like I love that moment in Taken, the Liam Neeson movie, where he like is totally torturing that one guy, you know, and like he's got him hooked up to like the electricity, and he's like, you know, torturing him, and finally the guy's like, I don't know anything else. He's like, I believe you. But it's not going to save you. Yeah, and he flips the switch and walks out. And I'm like, that's kind of what I felt in that moment. Like, yeah, I believe you. Well, it's not going to save you.
The Two-Face from Dark Knight. I won't help your odds if you tell me or not. And he's like, okay, cool. Flips the coin. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I said it wouldn't help. Or it couldn't hurt your odds. It couldn't hurt your odds.
Right. Can't hurt your chances.
Yeah, so I'm like, that's kind of what this was. It's like, you're going to die no matter what you say or do. He's going to kill you. Yeah. I did like that because I think that's, again, he goes back to what he knows. For thousands of years, he was this ruthless tyrant who would... I mean, we see him go and take out a whole army by himself. He didn't even need his army. He could have killed all those people. But, you know, we see him doing this evil stuff and how they talk about how the 10 Rings is an order that's brought chaos, it's toppled governments, and all of this.
Right.
So we know that's what he knows. So he literally lost his heart. His wife dies. She's gone. And, of course, what do you think's going to happen? Like he says... A blood debt can only be paid in blood. Right. So you've now created your own villain again.
And that's the lesson that he's trying to teach Shang-Chi. And that's the lesson that at, you know, the 80% way through the movie that Shang-Chi is like, well, that's what he created and I have to kill him.
You're right.
In order to stop this, I have to kill him.
Right.
And, you know, that's not the choice that ends up getting made at the end. They do fight, but he clearly doesn't want to hurt his dad. Exactly. He doesn't want to take that choice. Their fight was really cool too.
I did.
Where he kind of gets controls of the rings and everything.
That was amazing. And I want to talk, like the end of that fight scene though, the dad sacrificed himself for his son. Yeah. I thought that was the perfect coming back around.
Well, it was the moment where, you know, he finally realized he'd been clinging to this false hope that, you know, his wife was still alive and everyone around him was telling him this wasn't true. Of course, you know, we find out it's basically like a soul-sucking demon that is able to communicate with him because it's trying to get free. So it's trying to get him to release itself. And so it's masquerading as, you know, like sending him messages in his dead wife's voice kind of thing. Because it's able to reach in and project the thing you desire most is kind of how they explain it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, we don't need to examine it too hard. It's just, it is what it is. It's something mystical, whatever. It's in this hidden village, so he goes to free it. And in that moment where he does finally free it and sees what it is, that's like, where he finally, you know, he does make the sacrifice play, as you say, gives himself up, and he dies, which is really sad just because Tony Leung is a great character. Totally worked for the movie.
Yeah. And again, you never know. He might come back. I have 2 theories about this film.
Pretty sure everyone like got their souls sucked out of them, and none of those people came back.
Well,
they literally were like giving out lanterns, like "We'll see you later. We're gonna, you know." Okay. Yep.
Conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Mephisto.
No.
Yeah. Hold on. First of all, I want to say everything was red. The portal holding it back was red. The little creatures flying out were red. What color is Mephisto? Red. Right here. See, red. They also talk about how this is going to a dark world.
I'm not engaging with you
on
this.
So it could be Mephisto.
It's not Mephisto. It was literally just a giant monster.
That Mephisto's pet.
That fought a dragon.
And now they can go to Mephisto to get the dad's soul back.
Which we do have to talk about, that final battle of basically Dragon on Demon Beast.
Yeah, that was a beautiful fight.
It was super cool.
I loved it.
Like, it was like nothing we've seen in the MCU before.
No.
Like, monster on monster. I mean, I guess the closest would be Hulk versus Abomination.
Yeah.
But this was a very different fight to that.
Oh, yeah.
It was brightly lit. It was, like there was...
Still the magic behind it.
A lot going on with the mysticism. Of course, we're seeing the various human characters. Awkwafina gets her moment. Katie, where she's only been using a bow and arrow for like a day,
2 days. Yeah,
but she fires a perfect shot into the neck of this thing.
I heard my mom say.
Yeah, it was like I did kind of like I didn't want there to be it, but like we needed something established that she had like taken archery lessons at some point when she was a kid or something. It's just something. So that like she could have said that line or something as they were walking out, like as she's carrying the arrows like for the first time. She'd been like, oh yeah, my mom made me take archery for 3 months, or just something.
Well, and it would fall in the line where she's like, I start something, but I never finish it.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I could finish.
And so like that was the arc, is that she had started training and now here was her finishing it. And so it was kind of, but it was also like, man, that was one day. Like. Right. So the fact that you were able to like fire a perfect shot with 1 day of bow and arrow training.
I mean, that neck's pretty big too. The arrow's only about this comparison. It's
but also like bow and arrows are not easy weapons to fire.
Not at all.
So it just was a little bit like, okay, like we're gonna suspend disbelief. As in this movie where there's a magical dragon fighting a demon monster that sucks out your souls. Look, I guess I'll just have to suspend my disbelief.
I guess she's just going to be on par with Hawkeye. I mean, that's it. Just on par with him now.
Yeah, so that's spoiler alert for the Hawkeye series. It's not going to be Kate Bishop. Nope. It's going to be Katie.
It's Katie this whole time.
Kate. Ooh, Katie. See? This whole time we thought it was going to be Haley Steinfeld. It's actually going to be Awkwafina.
It's been faked and all that this whole time. It's just her popping out. Yeah, it's me, guys. How's it going?
What's up?
This is what she's been doing. It was a very cool fight scene. I did like that I liked how like the dragon almost dies and like the way like the soul's being sucked out was kind of cool looking.
Yep.
I did like the line where they're about to start fighting. We're not going to join forces with you or whatever. And it rips the soul out of the ninja character right off the bat.
And Razorfist is just like, we should probably join forces, I think,
Well, see, he called his buddy Taserface, and he's like, hey, should I join them? He's like, oh, yeah, join them. That's pretty bad.
Taserface is dead in this timeline.
He's alive. He is alive and well.
No, 100% he's dead, and I'm so glad.
How is he dead? He's fine.
He blew up on the ship. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, right before he sent the message to the Sovereign and they laughed at him. That was literally his final moment of dying, was people laughing at him.
It was true. It's true.
He's dead.
But he lives in my heart.
That's
in my heart.
That's fine.
Okay, so I do want to bring up.
I do have to ask you a question, though, just on a personal note. Yeah. So when did the demon monster get to you? Since we've clearly talked about the fact that you don't have a soul.
That's a long time ago. But see, I just don't die, and they're like, what? Why don't you die? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I don't need that, I guess.
Just somebody reanimated your corpse.
Somewhere. And again, this is how I know Mephisto is behind that gate, too, because he took my soul.
He does deal in souls.
See? So.
All right.
My other conspiracy theory.
Okay. Well, we got
and this one's, it's on par, but not.
Okay.
And you might agree with me. I don't know if you will. And I don't know how many people would or agree with this. So if we read the comics, the 10 rings are literal rings that go on fingers.
Right.
These are more...
They're like bracelets.
Bracelets, yeah.
Yeah.
They never really show them, like, go small enough around the finger. They almost look like brass knuckles at one point where he's kind of holding them.
Yeah, we do see they alter their size.
Exactly.
Though, at points.
But never that small. Now, at the end credit scene, a beacon is being sent out to somebody.
Yeah.
We don't know
somewhere,
who.
I think, is the particular way they say it.
That's true. Somewhere.
Yeah.
So obviously somewhere somebody's getting this signal. Now, after looking at the rings, when they're with the dad, they are a blue color. Uh-huh. When they come to Shang-Chi, they are more of like an orange yellow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I was wondering, I was watching this whole scene fight. When I saw them fight, I thought about it. There is another character who is more of a cosmic entity. Now, we know Banner says they're not vibranium. And they're over 1,000 years old.
Right, they're not Chitauri. They're not like either. Anything alien that
Carol knows.
Carol has ever seen. And we do get a little moment where she has to run, I wonder if that's a little setup for the Marvels. Maybe that's going to be, tie into what she is about to do.
It's going to be weird with the timeline again. Because what is she going to... I guess we'll figure out the timeline when that comes out.
Yeah.
So she disappears. She says it's not alien that she knows of.
Right.
And we know they're over 1,000 years old because Banner's dated. He says they could be like thousands and thousands of years old.
Yeah, well, I think we knew that Wenwu had them for 1,000 years, and they mentioned they predate him.
Yeah, and they even comment like they were hidden somewhere, and they don't even know how he got them.
Right.
So here's my thing. Carol can't answer a lot because she also doesn't know space, everything about space. She hasn't talked about like Galactus.
She's been there for 25 years or whatever, but
but let's face it, it's also a huge universe. We'll give her that. What if? Another good show. These are not still the 10 rings. What if they are the Quasar bands for a superhero named Quasar?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Why is that?
I think Marvel has learned their lesson about telling us something is one thing when it's really not.
But they brought it back too.
As evidenced by this movie.
Maybe that was the whole point. We're sorry.
I'm pretty sure these are the 10 rings.
I think so. It would just be interesting if somehow it's going to Quasar, because again, this would start leading us into our cosmic heroes. But that would be a stretch for Shang Chi. He would not be involved in that.
And it was almost like, because again, thinking about the timeline, okay, who would they be sending a message to or where? I did almost feel like, I wonder if this is some sort of beacon going to the quantum realm that is what allowed Scott to be able to come back.
I could live with that too.
Is that something that is tied into that?
Especially if they can manipulate their size, that would go to the quantum verse, would be possibly where they could go to. I don't know. It would be interesting. I can't wait to see where that pays off. I really want to see that. Or maybe it's alerting the Eternals even somehow. Maybe it's letting them know, like, hey, we need some help here.
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
And
we have to cog this like...
As usual, we do get the one kind of setup post-credit scene, and then we also get the one very humorous post-credit scene. Mm-hmm. So in this one, we get Wong telling the two of them... or is was that the end of that same scene?
It's at the end of the same scene.
Because they kind of combine, because he's telling them that their lives have changed forever, and like
that's the same
they need
scene.
to go home and get some sleep and have some responsibility, and you get that. Or and then we get some nice.
I love that Wong just joined in. Though.
Yeah,
like,
we get them going to do karaoke. I loved it.
I love it, but it's like, Wong, you always talk about how you're supposed to be this serious person.
Would totally do it.
He would, because he knew what was it? Beyonce. He knew Beyonce.
Yeah. So
this shows what he does. But the other end credit, the sister is taking over the 10 rings.
Oh, that's right.
That was the final credit scene.
Which, I think that kind of established that she was maybe not as virtuous as Shang Chi is, and could definitely go like. She was by his side for the whole movie, but, has some resentment, has some, kind of is more like her dad than her mom, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, it's similar to, like, Doctor Strange and Mordo, where it's like, they're aligned on this journey, but when that journey ends, they're going to go their separate ways. And she kind of takes over her father's criminal organization, and it says the 10 rings will return.
Yep. But
like that's how the movie ends. It doesn't say Shang-Chi will return. It says the 10 rings will return.
So I'm curious. Again, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that part. Yeah. I'll be excited to see where it goes. I'm glad where everything went. Taserface's friend Razor Fist is still alive.
Yeah. So, the bus fight was super cool. Oh my God, that was so cool. Like there were so many cool action beats in this movie. I really enjoyed it. And again, the building of the family dynamic through all the flashbacks, through all the things that we kept learning about, through the sense of betrayal that she felt, and then of course that end moment. It kind of reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, where it was like, "Take my hand, Peter." Where like he's holding on to her, and she is kind of going like, "You have to let me go in order to win this fight," and he's like, "I'm not letting you go again." It kind of reminded me a little bit of that Peter Quill moment. I thought it was all very good. I thought it all paid off well. Super entertaining. Like this was it was a blast of a movie. I really enjoyed it.
I hope it does well. I think this was a good way to hopefully kickstart. I know Black Widow was in theaters, but was also on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So I hope this is a good Kickstarter for Marvel to go back into just theaters again. I think we both. Yeah. You said it more than I do. We enjoy watching them in theaters more than on the TV, but I don't know. I'm hoping this will be their home run. I was really hoping Black Widow was going to get that, but unfortunately it didn't.
Yep.
I think Shang-Chi will do it, and hopefully now Eternals won't be delayed. Hopefully it does really well this weekend.
Yeah.
And Eternals is still going to be on track, and then...
Well, and this is the thing is just like, man, this pandemic, like as much as it sucks so much, it's still affecting this kind of stuff, and I really wish, like, I'm very glad we got this movie, and of course I just wish that it had an opportunity to be in theaters at a time where, the public was able to, be more, able and willing and all those things to go see a movie like this, because there's still a significant portion that either doesn't feel comfortable, and I can't blame them, or that are compromised, or maybe they even live in an area that theaters aren't even open right now. So all of those factors can impact the box office on something like this, which is a little bit disappointing, just because the movie is super fun, and having this like almost full Asian cast, it's cool. Like this is not, and this is a very different type of movie than anything we've gotten in the MCU, a very different type of superhero movie than I think we've ever gotten.
I would say, yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we've ever gotten a dragon in a superhero movie.
Not that I can think of. Not off the top of my head, at least.
I mean, there is that one terrible scene in Iron Fist where they sort of show a dragon.
I don't think I ever saw the second season of Iron Fist.
It was way better than the first season, but still not great.
I'll have to watch it. I'll watch it just because I want to watch it. Sure. But on that note, guys, let us know what you think down below. What Easter eggs you liked, what little hidden gems you liked. Yep. Maybe am I right on Quasar? Am I completely wrong? Am I completely wrong on Mephisto? He'll never talk about.
I can't wait to go find like an Easter egg video or article where they're telling me about all the different characters that were in those little fight rooms.
Oh yeah,
because I was trying to figure that out. I don't know who any of these people are, but I'm sure that there's somebody out there that's gonna be like, that's this minor character from one comic and whatever. Yeah.
And that's the problem. I don't know Shang-Chi enough to know some of his characters.
Right.
But I was in there too. I was like, who's that? Who's that? Is that... Oh, I don't know if that's... Okay, I'll just wait and see. And I'm sure someone already has that video out. But definitely let us know what we missed, what you enjoyed, what you thought of this video, your rating of it. And of course, guys, watch all our stuff on Official GYGO on YouTube, Facebook, all that. Get your geek on and stay geeky.
Bye.